Hello, and welcome to this channel. Today, it stands as one of the wealthiest cities in the world, a global hub of finance, trade, and innovation. But just a few centuries ago, this was nothing more than a swampy fishing village in Southeast Asia. This is the story of how Singapore rose against all odds to become the richest city in Asia, and one of the most powerful cities on Earth. In the 1700s, the area we now call Singapore was a backwater. Swamps, dense jungle, and a few scattered Malay fishing villages made up the island's sparse population. Yet Singapore was strategically located near major shipping routes and possessed a natural deep-water harbor that could shelter large vessels from the sea. However, no power had recognized its potential, at least not yet. In 1819, a British official named Sir Stamford Raffles arrived on the island with a plan. As the governor of the British colony of Bencoolen, located north of Sumatra, Raffles was tasked with expanding British influence in the region. And he believed that the island of Singapore was ripe for the taking. After negotiating with local rulers, Raffles set up a British trading post, essentially establishing Singapore as a British colony. This marked the beginning of an incredible transformation from a tiny, swampy village into one of the world's most iconic cities. Its strategic location, coupled with Britain's vast maritime network, quickly made it a key node in the global shipping network. Soon, traders from across the globe started calling on Singapore, bringing with them their goods and dreams. And so began Singapore's remarkable journey towards becoming the thriving metropolis we know today. As trade began to surge, immigrants poured into Singapore from China, India, and Arab regions. Over time, these diverse communities formed the cultural backbone of the city. By 1825, when Singapore officially became a British colony, the city had started to take shape. Colonial-era architecture dotted the landscape, reflecting the blend of cultures that were defining the city's identity. During this period, commodities like opium, spices, rubber, and tin flowed through Singapore's ports. These goods fueled the growth of the city, attracting more immigrants and establishing Singapore as a commercial hub. Despite this progress, however, wealth wasn't evenly distributed and the seeds of inequality were sown. Moreover, as a colonial outpost, decisions about the city's direction were often made far away in London, a fact that would have lasting implications. By the late 1800s, Singapore had evolved into a bustling port city. The arrival of the Suez Canal in 1869, which provided a quicker route between Europe and Asia, further solidified Singapore's importance as a trading hub. But with rapid growth came challenges. The city grappled with issues like overcrowding, poverty, and the need for efficient infrastructure. By the turn of the century, Singapore was a microcosm of the wider world, rich and vibrant, yet grappling with its own set of problems. As the 1900s dawned, Singapore stood poised for a new era. Its strategic location, natural harbor, and the introduction of the railroad connected the city to the broader British colonial network. This integration, coupled with its diverse workforce, transformed Singapore into the crown jewel of British Southeast Asia. But this prosperity wouldn't last. The Second World War dealt a devastating blow to the city. In 1942, Japan captured Singapore in a surprise attack, shocking the world. The British, who had boasted about the island's impregnable fortress, were humiliated. Singapore fell. For the next 3 years, the island suffered under Japanese occupation. The war left scars that ran deep, shaping Singaporeans' perspectives and influencing their leadership long after the guns fell silent. After the war ended in 1945, Singapore returned to British control. But the relationship between the colony and Britain was irrevocably altered. The war had highlighted the fragility of their alliance and fueled a growing desire for self-determination among Singaporeans. A sense of disillusionment with Britain had emerged. Many saw the British as having sacrificed Singapore during the war, and the desire for independence was growing. However, Britain, war-torn itself, couldn't afford to manage its colonies as it had before. So it offered Singapore a choice: join the new Federation of Malaya or remain as a separate colony. Initially, leaders like Lee Kuan Yew favored closer ties with Britain. But when the British government raised the prospect of linking Singapore to the Federation of Malaya, Lee began to reconsider. On June 21, 1962, the People's Action Party, PAP, led by Lee Kuan Yew, won a landslide victory. The PAP's platform was clear: self-rule for Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew became the first Prime Minister of Singapore, marking a pivotal moment in the city's history. Now self-governing Singapore was on a path toward full independence, and in 1965, that independence arrived. In a historic move, Britain formally granted Singapore its freedom. Overnight, Singapore became an independent nation, tiny yet determined, vulnerable yet resilient, and resource-poor yet ambitious. The task before Lee and his nation was monumental. They needed to establish a government, create jobs, provide housing, and forge a national identity in a world that seemed determined to keep them down. But Lee was up to the task. He introduced policies designed to combat corruption, attract foreign investment, and implement a top-down planning approach to development. The foundation for modern Singapore was laid. Education was prioritized, and world-class institutions were created to nurture the nation's human capital. Singapore was in effect investing in itself. By the 1980s, this strategy bore fruit. Singapore had evolved into a hub for shipping, electronics, and finance. But it wasn't just about economic growth. Under Lee's leadership, social cohesion was also achieved, turning Singapore into one of the safest and most efficient cities in the world. Strict laws combined with swift and impartial justice created an environment conducive to business. Corruption was minimized. Public spaces were kept immaculate, and the emphasis on meritocracy ensured that the best ideas, not the loudest voices, prevailed. This systematic approach to governance and development was a cornerstone of Singapore's rise. By the 1990s, Singapore had secured its place as one of the world's leading financial centers. But it didn't rest on its laurels. The late 1990s and early 2000s saw the rise of new industries like biotechnology, keen tech, and green energy. Each sector was cultivated strategically, ensuring that Singapore remained at the forefront of global innovation. Changi Airport, originally built to serve 8 million passengers a year, became a hub for over 60 million travelers. The Singapore Exchange, initially housed in a modest two-story building, grew to rival giants like the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ. By 2010, Singapore was more than a financial powerhouse. It had become a cultural melting pot, a tourist magnet, and a technological showcase. The city's skyline was dotted with iconic structures like the Marina Bay Sands, a testament to the nation's relentless pursuit of excellence. Today, Singapore stands as a shining example of a modern metropolis. Its embrace of technology, commitment to sustainability, and focus on human development have turned it into a global leader. Floating solar farms dotting its reservoirs, underground highways easing traffic congestion, and vertical farms ensuring food security are just some of the ways Singapore is shaping the future. Furthermore, advancements in AI-driven governance systems are making Singapore even more efficient. All these innovations contribute to making Singapore a highly livable city and a beacon of progress. As we peer into the future, Singapore's trajectory remains promising. If the past is any indication, the city will continue to innovate and evolve. In 2050, Singapore isn't just envisioned as the richest city in Asia, but as a blueprint for the technologically advanced, environmentally conscious cities of tomorrow. Its ability to anticipate and adapt to global trends positions it at the forefront of what urban living could and should be. But it's not just about towering skyscrapers and innovative infrastructure. Singapore's strength lies in its people, its commitment to education, its embrace of diversity, and its dedication to social harmony. These values have been the bedrock of its success and will undoubtedly continue to shape its destiny. Singapore's journey from a small fishing village to a global powerhouse is nothing short of remarkable. It challenges the notion that geography is destiny, proving that with vision, leadership, and strategy, even a tiny island can rise to become a city of the future. Thank you for watching. On behalf of our team, I hope you enjoyed this futuristic journey through the timeline of Singapore. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support means everything to us. Don't forget to share your thoughts and feedback in the comments below. Till next time, stay curious, keep exploring, and dream big. Who knows? You might just find yourself in one of our future videos.